like tradition did when it was.
And I've been editing down these World videos. There's an awful lot of 4-strokes at the Worlds, boy. Now, as this worked out, I think that worked out so good it's unbelievable. And we did it right at the field, of course. These on the. I wonder if these NASCAR guys do crap like this. Anyway, now we got it. It's a little bit solider, and yet it's still. See, this is what Midgley did wrong. He welded this, and then it became a big tuning fork. What I'm going to do when I get home is cut another inch off of this and shove this down into the body, let it exhaust, and maybe put 2 of those rubber things going, one on each side. That might look pretty cool, huh? What are we worried about?
Go put a hole right to each side, let it exhaust.
Right through the land, right, let it exhaust through the wheels. But yeah, that looks pretty good. And actually, it's a little restrictive. I think if we can just get Zambelli to open these up, I got to measure them. They look 250 to me. I would be willing to bet they're 250 or close to it. All right, let's fly it again.
You could open them up.
Yeah.
Still probably going to want a little more than that. Not just bigger stingers welded.
Yeah. Now, because we're basically getting drops of rain in between flights, and it's really blowing right now. It's really not. It's not appropriate for doing anything but this kind of testing. And once we get something in the bank here, and I've already gotten something in the bank. Okay, now we know Sergi's, we got about 8-10 flights on it. We know that's doable. It needs a little less restriction, and we need to make it fit in a plane a little neater. But we have another choice here today. You can see it's raining, but we're toughing it out in the rain here.
It lasts forever. It's what it ingested really tearing it up.
We got the little Typhoon pipe on there just for a test, but the rain is really coming down. What do you think? You want to tough it out?
I'm not afraid.
Why not? So I guess we've ended this test session. Just got to clean the plane up now, but we never got to fly this yet. But I've got the little mini pipe that I made for the Typhoon, and actually, if this works out, I can cut this out and shove it up into the body. Another day of testing, another day of rain, but we've certainly put something in the database here today. I really wanted to test some of those props. Doesn't look like that's going to happen today, but we'll hang out for about an hour, have some coffee, and just see. And we are getting flights on the test plane. And that's why I always tell people it always pays to keep these old planes flying. You always get a lot of use out of them. And of course our 7-year-old, this is our new 7-year-old plane. I gotta try to get one of those spinners on here when we decide what prop's gonna go on here. And next week's the flushing contest, so we're hopefully gonna have this that I don't think Jose's gonna pay $20 in tolls to come here today. It's pouring now. I gotta reel the lines in. Maybe we should quit while we're ahead. Quit while we're a Ferrari. Well, it's an hour later. The parking lot has a little bit of water in it, but is it going to deter us from flying today? Just because I have to stand in a foot of water to fly the plane. Nothing stops the Rich Oliver development program. Neither wind nor rain nor puddles in the parking lot. We're going to get some more flights. I want to get some flights on that. If nothing else, let's get a couple flights on that muffler. Not a little Typhoon half pipe, half muffler. The only problem with it is it's giving the engine such a power boost that I'm going to flip it and put some head gaskets in as soon as it cools off. It's probably added 1/3 of the horsepower to the engine, just letting it unload with some volume back. I can imagine what this would be with a pipe. It'd be unbelievable. But while Brian's going to take a flight here, the air is getting a little bit better. Actually, I'm glad we toughed it out, even though we're both soaking wet. Because this is the kind of stuff that you can't just write about. You got to get on your knees and do it. And it just takes time. And it just takes a lot of on your knees, on your time. Luckily, Richard sent me head gaskets yesterday. I'm going to put a few in, maybe 1 or 2 at a time. It's, once you unload the exhaust, it totally changes the character of the engine. It turns the engine into a monster. And the only way I can do it right now and get rid of that is with, and plus I know now I've gone too far with the tank shim. I went 1/8, I really should go half of that amount. So I'm going to keep cutting it in half till I get it right. Now it's leaner inside than outside. It was leaner outside than inside yesterday. So all stuff we're learning, all stuff we'll be able to pass on As soon as we get it to where we're going to be, hopefully, that we can do some prop testing. It's hard to do prop testing when the motor's making 6 horsepower. Now, as a side thing to what we're doing, we're trying to diagnose a problem Brian had. He didn't have any more fuel because it's a Tiger 60. He needs fuel with castor oil in it, GMA blend, and he didn't have any, so he went to the hobby store and he bought some kind of fuel, and I don't know what, but the motor kept shutting off. And I said, well, you know, getting rid of the fuel might be step one. And he's got another jug of fuel. He can't use the RoJet fuel because there's no castor oil in RoJet fuel. In fact, we're running the 90 on no castor oil at all. Yeah, this doesn't sound, I don't know, maybe that's a glow plug related thing, I don't know. Sounds like it's just rich. Anyway, what happened, one of the funny things happened while we were, and of course we've been ducking raindrops and bullets and everything here. A gust of wind came, this plane was facing the other way, and just blew it into the puddle, pulled the handle and everything. I'm not sure how that happened. I turned around, the plane was moving across the parking lot. I thought it was going to get better, but it isn't, but it's fine for a test day like this. And again, the next test is going to be, we're going to start shimming ahead little by little by little, and it seems like that's the direction this has to go in, is some head shims. And as soon as we get this a little softer in power output, then I want to start with the props. And we got a bucket of props in there already to try. And again, a good day. You would not want to be out here practicing bottoms. The wind is very swirly and it's blowing all crazy here. And out in the middle, you can see you almost have to stand in a, if you have to back up, you wind up in a puddle that's a couple inches deep. But we're going to tough it out. It's just, when you get a little excitement in your blood, and this 90 has made me feel young again. It just brought back the excitement that you normally have with a new model, new friends. It's new toys, new trains on a train layout. There's something about new that it's new. And I don't know how long this day is going to last when we get some more rain, but in between the raindrops, we're going to get done what we can. Now we've been trying a couple, and the air has gotten unflyable. There's no point even trying to fly it. But what we did, we found a way to make like a makeshift little muffler to do testing. Because here's what I want to find out is, what should this opening really be to give us a nice stunt run? The head gaskets helped a ton, much better with the head gaskets. So now the thing to figure out is we need to go from this tubing into this. And if I get that, then I can make an infinite amount of stingers, whatever that diameter. Do you know what diameter it is? You got a ruler? Looks like 1/2 inch. What'd you get? Oh, you got a big 60. Yeah, but it defeats the purpose if you go over a 1/2 inch tube. This one will be better. And just see if it fits in that red tubing. Push this in the red tubing and watch the plane's blowing around out there too. The plane's gonna blow away. We turned around and the plane blew across the parking lot before. But this is what, having all these little adjustments, see, I got different stinger diameters, different kind of rubber, different little baffling things, but the ultimate thing is to find out which one of these diameters is going to be ideal. And then we can make an exhaust system.
Still got the other stinger.
Oh, okay, we got to cut that out. We're going to swap stingers right now. Next test is we have 2 of these just pieced together. Now, needless to say, once we know the outer diameter, we can make up some kind of a semi-permanent muffler, something that, and Brian can weld some of this at his job, just tack it together. Those welds held that you did for the, what did you weld, a tiger header or something?
I didn't.
Well, the signs are all blowing over now one by one. So Brian has suggested when the signs blow down, session's over. Hey, we learned a lot today. In fact, we got another one Brian made up from just tubing parts. So We need to shim the tank. We're gonna go right in the middle of where we were on day one. In the middle, I went too far. We're on day two, so. And somewhere in this scheme of head gaskets, we've got this really softened up now. We can probably wind up. Now we're recording all the test results from today. The big thing today is we want to get the tank shimmed. We used Richard's original number. It was off a tad. We went up an eighth. That was too much. Now we're going to go back down a 16th. In other words, we're always cutting the difference in half. If we go too far, then we'll go to a 32nd. But we'll get that close. It's still not as close as I need it to push this further. This little gizmo, and Brian and I installed that at the field, that's going to give us options for various other muffling systems. This worked out well, by the way. There's just a piece of tubing in there that this gets the oil off. See, the plane is pretty clean. And not maybe as quiet as a real muffler, but certainly takes the bark out of it. And we've got all the head shims. By the end of the day, we had every head shim in there. And it was just starting to get to where I was thinking, maybe we went a little bit too far. So maybe tomorrow we'll take half of them out, some of them out. And that's an infinite tuning thing. And we have more props. Another box came today with more props from Rich Oliver. So we're really getting into this. It's really starting to be a fun project. And of course, with the weather, you could see the weather. There wasn't much sense in Jose paying 20 bucks worth of tolls to come and get wet. So we just hope we're going to get a day before we actually get out to Flushing. Next week is the Flushing contest. Now, because I'm recording all these notes, the little things that, like the tank shims, and now I'll know, and I'll measure it with a micrometer. When I get it exactly right, I'll make a final note, and then the next tank that goes in, hopefully, or another setup, will know from the engine pads to the tank center line. And Frank McMillan had a good way of doing this. He made a little, I don't know what you would call it, a micrometer setting of this tube to where the engine pads were, and then he put another tank in, and he pretty much got it right off the bat. We may be doing something similar to that, make a little gauge of how high this tube should be off of the mounts. That might be a good thing to make. Now, the purpose of testing all this stuff is we want to arrive at a final OD. We want to know, we know the ones that are too small, we know the ones that are too big, we know the ones that are too loud. There'll be a good compromise. We have a whole bag of tubes and tubes with bends and things to work with, and so this is part of the development. We also have, thanks to Richard now, we have another header. So once we determine, Brian will be able to cut this, weld it, put a bend in it. I'm not so sure, but he can weld at his job. He's got the equipment to do that. So but again, you need to hopefully have something with a little volume in here, and I'm going to try to make something like that. And know what this is a critical number. This exhaust restriction is your final, or it's called a belly bleeder, whether it's a pipe or a muffler. You need to know that has to be accurate, or if it's too small, the engine doesn't run right and overheats. Too open, the motor will just tend to run away in windy situations. And so it's always, all things in stun are always a balance and a compromise. And this is what you need, is to have quick ability to shim a tank. Pull the motor out. Whoops. Took a look around for anything looks like it's drooling or leaking a little bit of oil back by this header joint, but we're not using a zip tie in the front. This is my little test to see if we can eliminate zip ties, and it looks like so far safety wire has been a good replacement for zip ties, that's for sure. Motor's still nice and healthy, nice and friendly, nice and clean. A good combination. And I'm going to see if I have a little spare time to see if I can come up with a little bit more well-engineered piece for the back, but for right now, that's getting us through today. Now, when I'm doing this, and I want to get the reason, especially on a plane that has a very powerful engine, if the tank is not shimmed exactly right, then you're always compromising the fast side, making it richer, the slow side, making it leaner. And this motor has so much power that when it's lean on one side and not the other side, it's very asymmetrical. So now we're getting down to where we were too low, we're an eighth too high, we're going to come down a 16th. And then if that's wrong, we're going to go a 32nd. and I'll do it all with little shims of plywood. Now, one of the things that lightened this plane up was originally having a metal tank and plywood shims. There's a couple ounces of plywood in the nose. Well, I'd rather have a couple ounces of motor, to tell you the truth. Now, I had originally thought, because most of this nose section is oil soaked and we've cut away whatever was the doublers so we could fit the tank in, I thought we've cut away a lot of the mounts. We've really got the mounts down to, I'm gonna guess, maybe 5/16. And I thought, oh boy, this may be dangerous, or I wouldn't get a good motor run because of vibration. This motor is silky, silky smooth. Now, I don't know if that's going to change as we change props, but with the 14.5 rev ups and the 4-blade, it's just like a big electric motor. It really is silky smooth. You know what I did? I cut some little pieces of arrow shaft to act as spacers so I could get the gear. I thought this would be an easier way to doing it than putting on 5-inch wheels or Chevy wheels or something. I wanted to give myself a little more ground clearance because the next time we get to fly, we're going to be starting using bigger diameter props, of which we have several, and the 14s were close. This will give me a little bit more clearance, just a tad, even for the 14s. Now I can ultimately just make a bigger, longer landing gear, heat this and put a bend in it. All that's time consuming. I'm looking for the quick way so I can get back to the field and get more testing and use the test model as a test model. So starting tomorrow, we'll try this little header guy out. He's got the 450 opening. I shortened this so it laid down in here better. Got the tank shimmed where I hope it's going to be real accurate. And we got the truck all loaded up with props, so just hope tomorrow's not going to rain all day. Today's the day of our annual Circle Burner Club annual picnic. Uh-oh. Hey! We got some weeding to do back to house. What are you doing later today?
He used to be so cool.
Somebody's got a Hemi Cuda here, or what is this, a Hemi Charger?
$300 shoes on. One day came to the field and they said, "Where's your pool?"
This is that alloy stuff.
Now, Brian made up a little test RoJet 90 muffler here. What size ID is this? Is this 3/4?
It looks like it's going to fit right on it, don't it?
Well, the way we were putting stuff on it the other day, anything, you could put a sink pipe
You
on.
got 3/4 coming off your header pipe, right?
7/8.
7/8.
Well, it doesn't matter. I got more tubing.
But that's the only choice. That's the only choices I had. So.
Well, I'll give you a bunch of tubing if you want to put. Was it any problem welding this stuff?
Well, the back part, because these are arrow shafts. I got it too hot. I cracked this, and I had to replace.
Oh, okay, but just for a test part.
Is, you know, these are paper thin these days. You know.
Yeah.
I think the opening's probably. It don't look like it, but it's a lot bigger than the other muffler.
No,
you
it didn't
got.
rain here yet.
If it don't work, it might be a 76 muffler. For
Yeah, it may be a 60 muffler for Mike Cooper or something, you know. I like the idea of having these go out the side, because this way when Giacomo launches a plane, both sneakers get oily. That's good. It looks good.
Try it, if not.
Yeah, I guess I can't get my money back, huh? Here's the scourge of the circle burner field. I got him on my leg, in
We're going to
fact.
hold our next two cups.
5.5, one blade.
What is this, a 60 prop or?
It said it's a 65 prop.
This 5.5, so it's 11.
Who said it's a 65 prop? You or me?
Ether.
Ether doesn't. Come on.
I really like
Karen.
this.
Karen will tell you what prop it is. Sleepy. What prop is that? Go get me a ruler. Doesn't anybody have a ruler?
We know what it is. It's 5.
All right, but how big is it?
This is small.
This is small.
This is Doug Moon replica.
But this is for 60 or so. I need this same
65.
prop bigger.
65.
Bigger. How big are these blades? 12 and a half?
No, they're about, that's about 11 and a half.
Look at Sleepy. You know, I'm
That's
glad you
mine.
don't work in brain surgery. Oh yeah, let's cut that much of his arm off. Jesus Christ. Talk about a farmer. Holy mackerel. Does anybody have a ruler? What is this, the club that had no ruler?
Good yourself?
Mike, you see the way these guys measure props? How big's that prop? How big's that prop? Oh, 10 and a half. man. You got a ruler, Mike?
I know this is 9.
Anybody have a fish we could
I
measure?
used to use my foot to measure fish. I got busted one day. The fish came up a 1/4 inch short. Almost got a ticket.
What a high-tech world. Look, here, now he's got a 100-foot ruler to measure a prop. The gang that, tell me how big, go from tip to tip. Don't go half of the blade. And don't measure your finger
foot.
either. It's a 12-inch.
12
Okay,
inch.
so that's a 60 prop. Well, how hard is this to figure out?
A 12-4 blade is gonna. That's a 65.
That's for, this is for 60.
65.
You need a,
4 blade.
the 90 turns this prop 14 inches.
You got 2 of them.
And 14 is small. I only have 14 because it runs out of prop clearance and I keep breaking the props. I'm getting sick. Brian, I'll tell you, you hear the cash register ring every time a guy launches the plane. Same, it's a 12. 12 and a half, 13? Right, it's a 13. That's a jackabone prop. Man, we got, guys don't even know what size. I can't believe the level of incompetence in this club. Is anybody flying?
You don't buy Easter's props by the length. You
You get a 100-foot ruler out to measure a prop.
by the flavor.
Oh man. Could you imagine if these guys ever did anything dangerous? Yeah, let's jump the canyon, no problem. How big? Oh, somebody is gonna fly. Anyway, it's our club picnic. We got a nice little turnout here. There's gonna be free hot dogs and soda for everybody, including this kid, I guess. What is this?
Back there.
Is Krug flying?
Nice job.
All right, he needs more lessons.
Rainy again.
Is it raining?
He's only a little kid.
Well, we're only gonna stay for a few minutes because we have. Karen, you want to tell everybody what you have planned for me today?
I have
Planting mums.
planting mums is right.
I gotta go home.
Out to the mum store out here.
I gotta plant
Oh,
mums.
it's great. It's in Lincoln Park there.
Where's the mum store?
We're not talking about Grow Right.
No, I don't think so.
Where is it, Rich?
Park.
Yeah. Wendy, where's Grow Right?
No, you don't go
No,
that way.
no,
You
no,
go-
no, no.
You go into town.
Yeah.
Mums.
And
Yeah.
you make a left.
Now you go to buy the DPW. You know how to get to the DPW?
So how cool is this? Peabody was right. Peabody's not usually right about a lot of stuff, including prop diameters. We find this little place, Misty Meadows. Check this out. It's a privately owned house. And a guy's got a ton of mums out in front of the house. Now, how many times in the New York area do you see this? Self-serve. I don't think so. That's unbelievable. Look at this. Mums. They're about half the price of in a garden center, too, so. What do you think, Mum?
I'm trying to think.
We're gonna buy mums today?
If you shut the camera off, maybe we could talk for a minute.
Mums. So instead of getting practice on my 90, I'm getting mummed. I just think this is cool as can be. I can't believe they're doing this. So there you have it. Karen's mums. We lose a day of prop testing so that we can have mums. Can you believe this? I'm just never going to be a real competitor in life. Now I finally have the lathe at least up and running. Finally. Now the whole point of this whole exercise was I want to lighten up that drive washer as soon as Richard gives me another one. I don't know if I'm going to get another one, but the lathe is up and running. Amazing. Bob Zambelli's going to come over and hopefully in the next week or so. Warren's already left California. He's on his way here. Zambelli's going to give me a little refresher course. And I thought, oh yeah, it's been like 5 years since I used a lathe or something like that. You know what? It wasn't 5 years. It was 25. So I need a little since I used a lathe or something like that. You know what? It wasn't 5 years. It was 25. So I need a little quick lesson, but this is the first piece of scrap. I'm just seeing if I remembered how to sharpen a tool. And it looks like this usually is a good indication a tool is sharpened right. I don't know. Maybe Dubjet would disagree. We'll find out. Anyway, once we get a little lesson going, I think it'll be fine. But in the meantime, the lathe is up and running, and now we're hoping tomorrow is going to be a real fly-in day. Today was horrible. The end of another hurricane went through in the Atlantic, and we got the wind here, so we're just hoping tomorrow is going to be a better day. And the sun is in a very precarious spot, but this will still allow me to hear the motor run. You'll hear them cursing each other out. Did you measure it?
Yeah. 96.
But it only counts when the motor is either running or just got done running. Anyway, we're going to pull it apart. We had some stuff come out of the tank in the filter. Well, we didn't have a filter in there because I thought we were done cleaning the tank. Looks like it needs another day of defilterizing. Rich is intrigued with our digital thermometer, laser thermometer. Measure your foot. Let's see what heat your foot is.
Where'd you get that?
Sears Roebuck. And Brian's little muffler. Where'd you put his muffler? Oh, you put in toolbox. This has been working fine. I think we're going to stick with this for the rest of the day and maybe just shoot some props. I wanted to clean the tank, clean everything, put a fresh filter in it. And after a lean run, always put a fresh glow plug. We'll get rid of that glow plug now. So we're all back here. And the only problem is we put a brand new Thunderbolt plug in, put a filter in. I had already taken the filter out, but I guess we need it. And now we'll try, hopefully, to reset the needle here. The pleasant surprise is that the engine is using so little fuel, I'll be able to make a smaller tank eventually. There's no point turning this thing into an oil tank, and we got like 30 laps after the pattern. Rich?
Yeah. You want to leave the camera here? Isn't it a
I'll
little
move it.
too close?
No, I'll move it. I'll move it. Don't worry about that. And we got to reset it too. Set? Yep. Cold again. You need it, Ronson, to get you started this one. There's still something in it. There's still something in there. Let me clean it out.
You're going to have to take that.
We get up this morning to what's supposed to be 2 extremely nice flying days. Oh my God. At the end of the season, just start to see the leaves, and you can see the leaves starting to fall here. Pretty soon we'll be raking leaves. Boy, we've had a great summer. And boy, I think one of the highlights of this summer has been just the fun we've had working with this 90. This has given us a new lease on life. It's really been a, well, it's gotten my blood flowing and gotten me excited about getting to the field in the morning. And we're going to pack the car and we'll be on our way. Now, Rich also sent down some props to test on the 76, but I'm going to let that go because I'm a lot more interested in using up this last little bit of time that we have before the flying season ends. Just to get as much data in the bank, our little database that we can on this 90, because this is all new stuff and we're making big gains, big changes pretty much every day. We also got some parts from Bob Zambelli. We got Brian's muffler. I polished it up. We got some nuts and some threaded rod pieces that Bob Zambelli made up for us. Get some of the weight off the front, and Rich Oliver has already, it's supposed to already be in the mail. He made some lighter drive washers, so just getting a little bit of weight out of the front every day. This is going to be every time we get even a quarter of an ounce out, it just gets better and better and better and better. But obviously, if we design a plane specifically for the 90, it'll be like the Typhoon, just have a shorter nose. We won't have to deal with any of that. It's only because we're in a normal 10-inch nose plane. Now for the next month or so, and by the way, Warren Walker has already left California in transit to the East Coast. So we're excited about his visit, upcoming visit, but pretty much every day, more and more of the leaves are going to start changing and falling, and this becomes a real show the next month with the hardwood trees, the leaves changing. Every trip to the field gets nicer than the one before. Well, the Ferrari flag's up and blowing around, which I guess is the kind of test weather we really want. I'm sure. I want to get this, see if I can get a routine today. One of the things would be nice to have is a routine for the first start up of the day. Maybe we could even shoot some video tonight. If we can get the sun to move. That's a hard thing to do, is get the sun to move. In fact, it's impossible. And why is it always that the sun has to be right where you want to fly? Anyway, we got all the props. We got the aluminum crankshaft to put in here later, but I always like to start off with a square one flight. Now, I may be kidding around a little bit about it, but I'm really serious. I really have gotten like a new lease on life. Normally at the end of the year like this, I'm just cruising and kind of getting lazy and maybe chesting a few props or something, but this has really got me cooking. Now, the issue here is a couple of things we got to really be aware of with the stooge, of course. That the stooge, I put extra screws in the stooge holding it in, for obvious reasons. And I don't want to start busting up these props. We have a limited supply, and hopefully get some more this week, but it just gets more and more difficult to get these things. Now, first flight of the day, first run, the trick here is try to build on what we had the day before, except that we've changed the muffler, so everything's going to change. And the other thing with the motor, I don't want to get in a habit of flooding it and having these, where it breaks your finger when you start it. I noticed it had to be wet in the past. That it seems fine. There we go. Likes to be wet. You'll notice when it catches, it just catches. It's just like an instantaneous thing. That's what, and I have to really be aware of that. A little bit different than the 76.
So hold on, I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, take it easy. Just had a guy here hanging, checking out what we were doing. Okay, we got a couple flights on the original muffler. That's a doable, usable thing. But I wanted to check Brian's muffler before the wind got unflyable. And this is the little one Brian made. Give this a shot. It fortunately bolts right up here. And we're always careful, of course, that they don't, hopefully don't fly off the plane until we can get a more permanent mount in there. But we do have an extra header. And in case none of these work out, we can just go back to the original setup. See, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get the motor running right where I was happy with the characteristics and everything, and then just start swapping props on until I find the best prop. But for right now, I just need to get the motor, and I got the tank shim very close now. We're probably within a 64th of an inch. It was 2.4 in both ways, and it's got that nice speed control when the wind starts blowing. That's that speed control that when it just normally an engine wants to just blast off, this kind of just has a little bit of a governor, and I don't know why yet. Probably the exhaust timing is part of it, and part of these muffling systems and props is the other part. But we're learning a little bit every flight. Boy, this just brings back so many memories of when we were originally doing the original tuned pipes that Midgley manufactured in the beginning and that I make now. In the beginning, the plane is just on its back a lot, and so I may as well leave all this stuff out. And unfortunately, I don't think there is an easier way to do this. There's just a simple rule of reality. You just have to, do it. Hey, what are you doing here? So what have you been doing? You gonna fly today? Or?
I don't know. I gotta get a piece of pantyhose to put on that.
I got pantyhose.
Huh?
I got pantyhose.
You got some? I'll put on that Venturi.
Now this is just for the record,
Yeah.
so we keep track of this. This is Brian's little muffler, which showed a lot of promise. It's actually right up there with the best ones that we have so far. Don't have to run. Actually, it's running so long on fuel, I'm getting like 30 laps after.
Yeah, I know. It's just running along.
Now, what I did, and I did it for Rich Oliver's benefit, I guess it's a little too late to try it right now. Where the hell is it? What I did, I bought a little digital thermometer, laser-powered digital thermometer. Now, let's see. What temperature am I? Well, I'm 82, so let's see what the motor is after a run with that muffler. 141. I just want to remember that first run we had with that real restrictive muffler?
Yeah.
This you can do even when the motor's running.
No kidding.
I'm going to start keeping track of the temperature, but at the end of the run, when you feel it and it's red hot,
Yeah.
go get the thermometer and see how bad it is.
Yeah. But that didn't seem
By
like...
the way, you can even get this at Sears Roebuck. It's about, up here, about 50 bucks. You can do it when you're cooking muffins. You can tell what temperature, your head is in a hot sun. Anyway, we just wanted to make sure we're not getting any real overheating runs on this.
That was running good that time.
No, that ran fine. That little muffler works great.
Yeah. Let me get my shadow. I do it.
Yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go try to put the camera downwind here for get a couple of flights on this. But these will all be with Brian's little muffler, 14.5 rev up. So after all that problem, we resolved what the problem was. When we went to flush the filter, we made this cockamamie thing to add fuel capacity and it cracked right on the joint, so we're going to repair that. But in the meantime, I want to fly, so we put in a spare tank from the Testarossa, and that was nice that it just fit right in there. Now Les is over here today. What we're going to try to do, we got Zambelli's aluminum nuts. We're going to try to get this all zipped back together and test run it on the ground out in the backyard. I also took the insert out of the Venturi just to see if it's going to make a radical difference, better, less, worse, whatever. And Brian's little muffler made from a lawn chair. You can even see the back of the lawn chair. The thing worked pretty good, and it's about just a tad of a gram or two over an ounce. Karen was pretty right today when she made the coffee. She said, well, your summer's coming to an end, fly boy. Go feed the fish. You hope you get a couple more days testing your 90. And then it's actually by the weekend, it's supposed to start getting cold. She's getting out the winter clothes. Just when you thought summer would never end. And what a way to end the summer on this 90 project. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This has added some new life to some new interest. It's a shame every year these leaves start falling. Here's the beginning of the leaves. But we have had such a good summer. Brodax was great, the Nats, the trip to Texas, and then closing it out with all the fun we've had with this 90. We've just had a blast with this 90. And today, I'm looking up today's. As soon as breakfast is done, we may be getting sneaking in another day of testing. Oh my God, the whole NASCAR race team is here. Oh my God, look at these guys, stunt heaven. As soon as that puddle evaporates. The whole gang is here for a day of testing. So we get here, the air is real nice. Look at what a beautiful day. And guess what? Instead of getting testing here, they're going into yak mode. Hey! You're wasting all my good air! Richard Oliver said, get your act together. Oh! Come on! I'll try to get some flights here today. We had kind of a cut-off day yesterday with a myriad of problems of little things. Changing Venturis, we were changing Venturis and didn't line up the hole in the Venturi exactly right. My own fault. But anyway, we did get flights, we did get some, and we're gonna get more today. We're waiting for our Doran 4-bladed props. I hope they'll be in the mail today. They've already left Texas. We got some other wood props to try, and most of all, we want to see this lawn chair? I figured I could make 6 mufflers out of that lawn chair. Brian was very happy to hear that his muffler's working so good. Anyway, good day starting here. Now today, one of the things we want to test, let's put a muffler pressure fitting on Brian's little muffler, what we call the lawn chair muffler. It's actually all made from lawn chair parts that he had in a dumpster. I don't know how much we could sell them for, that's the problem, if they're all lawn chair parts. But anyway, we'll have the choice of trying muffler pressure or no muffler pressure, something we haven't been able to do before. And we have a 274 and a 248 Venturi. So far the 248 has been much friendlier, and we certainly don't need more power. And we still have some, we can even choke it down a little bit more with the pantyhose if we need to. I replaced the original tank with a smaller tank. Gets about another, I don't know, maybe another ½ ounce of weight out of the nose, not having the tank so big. But now I thought we were originally going to need 8 ounces of fuel. I think 6 will be fine, but we'll find out at the end of the day. We get rid of all these the little baby underpowered planes. Hey Rich, you need the power.
Yeah.
Throw that fuselage away and start making a 90 fuselage.
Wait a minute, Johnny.
John, come on. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, I'm in a world of amateurs.
I'm just gonna see if I can slide.
Not even. Amateurs would be an upgrade. Well, first thing we're going to do is try to get a couple of flights. Square one, no muffler pressure.
That's good enough. All right, I guess I got to give.
No. I'll tell you what. I want to see him take off with the camera.
It's no problem. It's a quick takeoff method.
He's gonna go into a wing over.
Rich Oliver says you guys are a bunch of amateurs. It's unbelievable.
You spoke with him yesterday?
Yeah, yeah. He's happy.
Did you
We're gonna
fix-
get the 70, what is it, a 67?
67, yeah.
Put it in Miss Ashley.
What? What's 67?
He's putting in
It's a new motor, long stroke 65.
Oh yeah, he's increasing the
Oh yeah, he told me he was going to do that. He told it's going to have this more of the 76 run characteristic
Right.
than the 65 run characteristic. I got to send him one or two of the 65.
You see, everyone is trying to emulate my engine run.
By the way, Ken said he would really appreciate it if you'd loan him one of those the 3-bladed props.
Yeah.
And he'll send it back when he gets his, because obviously they
from,
can't. He
Brian
wants
Ethan?
you send him one of them, and he'll send him when he gets.
Brian
He's
Ethan?
ordered them, but he's not getting them yet.
You're talking about a
Yeah, the Brian
Ethan
Ethan.
prop.
You got
Did you
3 of
ever
them.
get Brian Easter props?
Yeah, I got 2.
From who?
It's a long story. I
But
went
not
through
from Brian.
I went through Brad Walker,
Yeah.
who went through Rich Peabody went.
Well,
through
somebody
Brad
give me a
Walker.
lunch here, okay?
It was
One
a
of
long
these days.
story, I'm telling you. Then ultimately, Brad Walker sent me the props. No, sent them to Rich. No, he sent them to me.
Where did
Tell him the story after you launch the
I
plane.
will tell you the story after.
Tell him the story after. We need to fly someday. Wasting all my good air.
No.
Yeah, why don't you show up
Right
early?
to get there.
I need my
yeah.
coffee at my
I'm afraid
age.
I'll pop that off.
Yeah.
So, a little work, I'll do it.
I wanted to try to flood it on purpose, because yesterday it was starting right at the point where it was flooded.
Hold the front.
Getting enough.
No, you really have to, that first run of the day, I think you need some Ronson.
One time it came to
Go get me a Ronson. We're Ronsonized. It's cool out here. Just because I'm wearing shorts, don't think it isn't cool. These guys are, you notice Jacobone has on a coat and Wendy has on shorts. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Anyway, it's cool. First
Rich.
run of the day, a little Ronson.
Rich, I got to teach him how to start an engine.
That's right,
Because he
Ronson.
still doesn't know how.
Don't be a baby. Come on, let's go.
listen to this.
Eating up all my good air. Pavarotti's eating up my good air today.
Did you get fuel?
Yeah. We had trouble with, there was stuff in the filter yesterday. Predictably, we've been taking stuff, 2 flights, cleaning the fuel line at the end of every flight, and because it's a new tank, there's still little chunks coming out of it.
You gotta put that in the magazine. You made them up.
Now I'm thinking maybe, see, you could make a bent muffle. Look at this tube right here, John.
Yeah,
I could make one with a bend.
that's right. Getting out.
That's Brian's quite a slick character. I tell you, being cheap goes a long way in this event. Not having any money makes you a good inventor of things.
Giacomo to come back anymore.
He'll sit down and go on his ass because one leg will be missing. He'll be out on my plane. The Jacobone lawn chair muffler.
He's got to put that in the magazine because that's funny.
I got a pressure fitting in there. I got to check muffler pressure as soon as I get this cleaned out. Anytime you got a new tank, it's always a nuisance. Now I wanted that. This is a 6 ounce. The other one had those little hatches and one of them broke. This is a standard 6 ounce tank. And I counted 16 laps after the pattern and it was running rich, so I think that's going to be fine. And John just put in a carbon tank in his plane, got rid of 2 ounces, so, and Rich already has one in there, so with the all carbon fleet here. All right, finally it looks like this is holding a setting. All the crap that's come out of the tank is out, let's hope for now. I've never seen any new tank that didn't need a couple of flights to clean out the boogers. Now I want to try getting a couple of flights on tape just to get a look at this. Even though it's kind of a cloudy day, we'll see if the footage comes out. If not, we'll just skip it. Now when I edit this down, and I'm going to try to splice in some of the stuff we learned today, and we really did learn a lot, but the aggregate of the whole thing is basically now we're ready to work on props. We've got 4 days of tinkering, and I know the tank size now, and I know the tank shim, and I probably can get it right. It's 150 thousandths off the mounts with my tank, with the carbon tank. And I know, for instance, that the 14.5 rev up is a good starting spot. I'm hoping Richard's going to have that light and drive washer for me. And among other things that we've learned is this really has been a lot of fun. I guess fun is the right word. I don't remember for a long time having this much fun, and we're looking forward to taking it out to Flushing this weekend. But all this development stuff, it's very time consuming. Part of it is that it's frustrating in a way that you get these lean runs and you get, you know, things like dirt in the tank and stuff. And to be fair, I mean, I did a lot of work on this plane that gouged out the doublers and mounts. If it's prone to vibration, it hasn't shown me any of that yet. And I just wonder what it's going to be like when it's in a plane with, you know, with a little bit solider and less oil-soaked nose construction. I'll be looking forward to seeing that. And probably somewhere in this year upcoming. And again, we're on us. Actually, this is the 2nd full gallon. I filled up the jug already. But it's really showing me that it's got some potential. I'm very excited about, with less in the next month or so, we're going to try to get a meeting of the minds and see what exactly we want to do for next year. Now, just one point that I just want to bring up quickly. Walt Russell is designing up this absolutely cool Helldiver. Walt, I got, if there's any way you can think about, because this motor won't be in production till the spring. We're a little bit ahead on the learning curve here, but boy, this would be what I'd like to have in a Helldiver with that short nose. Well, what a choice that would be. And anyway, Les's head is spinning. When he left here today, I could tell he was thinking about things and scoops and Enzos and Bearcats and everything. I know he's got an Al Raby Bearcat kit. Maybe we can get him to build that up and put the 91 in, the 90. It's the definition of why I do this. It just intrigues me, it challenges me, and at the end of the day, my head is spinning. It's hard to relay what passion really is to somebody who doesn't have any passion or has less passion. This just really is, Karen even knows, it just totally intrigues me all the time. And as a secondary thing, it's keeping me pretty physically fit here. I haven't gained any weight at all since we've started this. I've been like having a workout at the gym 4 days in a row. Anyway, back to the shop. And again, I've said it before, but a special thanks to Jose Modesto, who really hasn't even flown this plane yet. We've got 4 days of flying on it. But I hope this weekend coming up, we're going to change all that. We have some pretty dense air. It's a little chilly and cloudy. John's flying. Here you can see the clouds are moving in. I'm going to try to record a couple of flights before the rain comes. And we'll set the camera up downwind. This is day 4 of the Amazing 90 test program. Okay, what's happening? The breeze is blowing just a little bit. In fact, it's not bad at all. And it's cool. Everybody's wearing a coat except Dumb Windy comes to the field in shorts. And we're going to try to get a couple of these flights on tape if we can.
You off, Rich?
Okay, so what we got now, that's the 5th run on that tank. It looks like it's apparently holding a setting now, but we'll check it at the end of the day. And again, because I've rushed through all these retrofits and there's been dust blowing all over the shop, but we're actually 5 runs into that tank. The next part of the test is going to be to run muffler pressure, and then we're going to start testing some pipes. So whoa, watch out for that bird. And I'm going to hopefully get some footage off here that I can use. Yeah, we got a little breeze blowing now. It was blowing harder before, then it calmed down. It's kind of a variable day, but we're getting flights. And I really don't want to push this too fast so I don't have accurate notes on everything either. This is with the 247 Venturi, a few extra head shims, and a 14.5 rev up, a stock one. As soon as we get the door and 4-blade from Rich that he's got, we'll be putting that on a plane. Okay, this flight is John DeTavio, and we'll have the next one. All right, now what I'm going to do, of course, I send these unedited tapes with all the blank laps to Rich Oliver. What I want Rich to understand, that flight the sun came out, so the air might have changed a little bit, but that run that we just had, well, all the runs from today, the last 2 runs, these are all on 6 ounces of fuel. I have this down to a 6-ounce tank. I think the next step is to make a 5-ounce tank, because the motor is in its friendly range, and I could take fuel out, but it's still nicer if you get a smaller tank. And we have the ability to change these tanks with the way this is set up as a test plane. They change out very quickly. So, and we know what the shim is, although this seems a little faster inverted, but that's okay because it's not a lot. It's probably a 64th piece of plywood away from being right. But I love the fact that we're not using a gallon of fuel. That really, carrying that fuel around changes the CG as the plane is flying. So if I can get that down to 5 ounces, and I'll see if I can get a Venturi that's smaller. Now this is a 247. If we can go to like 230, could happen. I don't know. Well, we're gonna find out. I'm gonna have some coffee, and then we're gonna take. Well, Les is leaving, but John is saying if John dies, I got the stooge. So. was on 5 ounces, John.
Huh?
That was on 5 ounces.
Okay. Stay out. I gotta go back. Cool off, get another flight. I thought it was a little rich, wasn't it?
Yeah. I want to see if it'd go rich on 5 ounces.
Oh, okay.
It's fine, even if you missed it. 5 ounces.
Let me get away from first, so little.
Running it with a pipe, it's running fast. This is a whole different thing.
Yeah. I got to get some 13.5 props. I got to go over to Bobby Bow and see if he's got a couple.
I put 5 ounces in that flight, ran it purposely rich, so that I could just see if we missed the needle. It's starting to look like 5 ounces is all this engine's going to need, and boy, does that make for a Typhoon nose. That makes for an 8-inch nose with a 5-inch tank. I'm not so sure we'll get away with that, but even rich, it gets away with it. It burped a little on the 4-leaf clover, but other than that, it was Rich. I wish you were here. I could have been somebody. Believe me, this is going to develop up nice. This is really getting smooth. Now, do you want to fly this or not?
No.
All right, you want me to fly again?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go in a little on a needle again. 5 ounces.
Yeah, because while you're not gonna go take it. Oh.
Again, flushed out, but I have a gut feeling there's something loose inside this tank that just, I may just make another tank. It's just easier to make a tank sometime. But I want to move the camera. The wind's totally shifting around now, and hopefully end the day on a pretty good flight. I'm not sure this flight is, because we can't move it out. There's a big puddle in the parking lot, but at least we can listen to the motor run at home. All right, Johnny, you ready? Feeding the fish, feeding the birds, feeding myself. I'm not sure, but I sure hope it's really going to be a good test day for us here. And here the patio's getting all covered with leaves already. Just unbelievable. What a season it's been. What a nice year. I am itching to start putting together the memories tape for this year. We have had so many good memories. It'll be a lot of fun looking back at them. Well, this time of year, the tree-lined streets of Rutherford, on the way to the flying field, the leaves are going to all start turning color, and every day is going to be just a little nicer than the day before for about the next month. And Warren Walker is 2 days into his trip now. Oh, he's looking forward to visiting us. We're looking forward to having him for a guest. Now I know Raul, the terrorist, has to go to work. Work! Work! That's for terrorists! All right, let's see what you got here, Rich. Rich is going away for the weekend. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, see, it's these radiuses in here. Like, you could just tell. Run your finger in there. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, you did a nice job. Now we gotta put, when you get back from Virginia, we gotta put the blocks of wood in there, and then you can send this one up to Johnny. Yeah, that's good.
I went ahead and...
Did you get the landing gear?
No, I didn't get it yet.
Oh man, that guy's gonna screw us up.
I'm waiting for... Yeah, I'm waiting for...
Yeah, I know.
Jose.
You know you're going to be waiting like at the train.
Well, I hope not. He told me that he ordered...
Maybe he'll bring him Sunday.
He ordered 2 sets from Constantine up here in
Canada. Yeah.
And he ordered a set from the...
Yeah, because we got to see.
Name? The guy in Russia.
Yeah, Shenko. Yeah.
Shenko.
Midgley's waiting 3 years to get something from him. We'll see.
So you think they're okay, right?
Yes, I think they're good.
Good.
All right, so when you get back from Virginia, we get a rainy day. Next day, this will be ready to go.
Well, give my regards to the boys in Flushing.
Yep.
You're going, aren't you?
Oh, of course. Karen's keeping score.
Yeah. They're expecting.
Yeah, I want to bring him out. Get Lampione at the end of the contest to fly to 90.
Well, yeah. This way he'll know.
And Jose, of course. If Jose doesn't show up, we got to get some flights today.
Tell Bob Championi.
See
that what I said.
The air is going bye-bye here in a hurry.
What I said, what he needs to do is buy a 90 and put it in his plane, because that weighs 95 ounces.
Yeah, it's 1 ounce per cubic inch.
Exactly.
All right. Have a good trip.
All right.
Look at that Ferrari flag. Just like we are going. Oh, the clouds. The clouds are coming in, Chicky. Look at this.
It's going all different directions.
I know. I just want to get some runs on this. I want to check the. I made a new muffler last night.
Good.
Wait till you see my little carbon muffler.
Well, Brian wanted to know how his lawn chair muffler.
I'm wearing it out. Hey,
I told him,
I can always get my money back, can't I? All right. See you later, Bonzo. I got to get some flights.
Take care.
I got to get some flights before these mean clouds come and bite me. Now, believe it or not, this started out looking like it was going to be a fabulous day. And by the time Rich and Raul got done with their adventures, well, it looks like we're going to have a limited day. Now, what I've been doing, I've been trying to decide which of the two I wanted to pursue. I have this on muffler pressure and no muffler pressure, and it seems like it has a little bit better motor run on no muffler pressure. But I'm going to continue going. I just leave the tube disconnected when I want to try it the other way and change the needle. One of the nice things is it's relatively idiot-proof, the needle. You just bring it up as soon as it hits its beep, back off 1/8 of a turn, and that seems to be a comfortable setting. We're down to using, I'm guessing, 5 ounces or 5 1/4 ounces of fuel here. And what I want to do later today, do a little more work with the head gaskets. Again, we got the contest at Flushing is coming up this weekend. I was hoping Jose would be there. Maybe Jose will come out Saturday. Maybe I'll go out there Saturday, depending on the weather. But it's such unpredictable weather lately. Anyway, we will. I know we're going to get. Hey, tripod shots here with the way the wind seems to be just moving around, swirling around. We still don't have bulletproof startup. When it's hot, it'll usually backflip in one flip, but not when it's cold. Now, like we'll test, and this is just a back and forth thing. Take one flight with muffler pressure, one flight with no muffler pressure. Try to compare the runs. And it's starting to look like, well, it's starting to look like it runs better just on an open vent. But as we keep tuning, obviously that may change. And it's interesting how some motors are very sensitive to that and some motors are not sensitive at all. But you can notice in the way the motor brakes, it sounds a lot more like a traditional stunt motor when it's not on that pressure, and it has a much more locked in sound when it's on muffler pressure. So we do have the two choices. Again, I just take the tube off, put the tube on. I keep the tube right in the box so I can go back and forth. And the trick is, where this is an advantage is sometimes when the wind is really blowing, and it's not really blowing today, it's kind of just swirling around. What tends to happen is, as you go into the wind, the motor will get rich and try to, you know, just not accelerate the way it should. Sometimes that can be an advantage, sometimes, but the best way is to have all the choices. And just put the line on, take the line off. Try something, take it off. Put the muffler on, take it off. And like I said, last night I made a carbon muffler. It's got to be, I got to put the stingers on, and I got to post-cure it. And I have a great little way I'm going to try to show how to make your own muffler. Actually, you make your own. I have an idea in my mind already of how to do this, which probably means I'll have to do 10 of them. But sooner or later, we'll get one that'll be just right. It looks like right now, one of the key numbers is to have the outlet 450, or in this case, this is 2. I don't remember. I got to measure it again. That's about how I've been setting a needle. We have to go through this enough times to kind of figure it out. It seems like for our purposes, as we're at this part of the test, that we're better off with the vent open. I like the run a little bit better. And one of the things I wanted to try, since Richard Oliver just sent us back the original little muffler I made for the Typhoon, I wanted to get some runs on that and see which was the better of the two. They both weigh very close to the same weight, so a little over an ounce, so it's not a problem. And one of the things that's been very surprising is how well this little, none of the solder joints have broken. Actually, even this one up here hasn't broken. And it's given us the opportunity to try muffler pressure, even though we haven't found any reason to use it. That's one of the surprises of this year, is how well this little pipe has worked. But because the wind has already killed off the day for doing stunt patterns, it'll give me a chance to do two things. Try that little Typhoon pipe, the little one I made for the Typhoon, and give the some of these other wood props we have a shot. I really have 4-bladed props too, but I don't have a spinner for them yet. What I always try to do is when we have a day that, and it's gotten unflyable now, it's not a good day to be flying patterns, this will just allow me one more time. I actually have two of these. One needs a little repair. The back end is loose, and I think that's why we took it off before, but this one looks like, well, so far it hasn't shown any signs of breaking. It'll give us another chance to see various exhaust systems. Again, I got one home that I'm making up. It seems like a critical thing is not to restrict it at the back end too much. So again, the one we had from Sergi Belco that was made for a 60, just too restrictive. We learned that early on. The wind has really picked up to the point where it's dangerous to fly the plane here, and you can see this flag is blowing in this direction. This flag's blowing in a totally different direction. It's swirling through here. But I did want to run one more test. I have this open header. It's kind of loud. I've run this one before. Kind of loud, but it does give, well, loud is loud, you know, that's all you can do about it. But I think pretty much we're going to get one more flight. That's going to be the end here. Get back to the shop. We want to finish up that little carbon muffler that I'm making. Maybe I can get that tested tomorrow or the day after. And I'll show the little technique that I use to do it. Again, so many things to test, so little time. And whenever I get back from a day of flying, I always wonder, did these fish have as much fun as I did? It's just so much fun changing exhaust systems and head gaskets and props, and if you're a fish, what do you change? You know, what do you do? Grow your fins longer or something? I don't know, guys. Summer's coming to an end. We're going to be putting a cover over the pond. This summer's ending too soon. Even from the time I was out here this morning till now, the tree looks like it got redder. So one of today's projects is going to be, I want to see if this dried up. This is that little muffler that I laid up last night. We got to do some grinding and fitting on it. I got to put a stinger on it. We'll do more work on this. This is just a prototype. I want to see if it's going to work. Again, this is not a final design, because we don't know what the final design is. It's nice and light anyway. I got the tank fixed now that we were using, the oversized tank in case we want to go to bigger Venturis and less head gaskets. That's repaired. Again, we had broken the top off, and of course this was just a makeshift thing, not a permanent thing. And we got two more Doran 4 blades. I need to set up a spinner for them, because now, having flown today with the spinner on, the amount of weight I got off the back plate was more than the whole spinner weighs, so it was kind of a draw. Plane seemed to fly the same until the wind started howling. But, well, here's the next step. In the next day or so, next couple of days, I want to come up with some kind of design for a little exhaust system. This is the prototype now. It's got to be hand finished. We'll come back and work on this probably later today. The other thing too is having two possibilities here. Rich Jacobone may want to run a muffler instead of a pipe, so it would be nice for us to develop something for ships that, and again, I'm not sure, because we're treading out in new water. I'm hoping that the resin that we're using, which is rated for 450 degrees, and I'm going to have to start using that thermometer to see what that header temperature really gets, and that it's not, the silicone rubber that we use is rated at 500 degrees. So you would think once we melt the rubber, we're going to have trouble with the pipes if they start to melt. Again, Not going to know until we run a couple of them and melt them, fry them, and break them. And unfortunately, that's the way real development works. And well, I took them out, I put them back in, and at this point I don't even know how many are in there, because one of the next steps is going to be, now that we have the lathe running, is to take a little material out of the head, just a little bit. I always kind of like to make it a Hemi head, kind of a big Jim Hemi head, but first I'll get Rich Oliver's okay, or in the best of all worlds, I'll get a spare button if he has one, and I can have him make the, this way we're in the loop together. The spinner, the last couple of times out, the spinner has been just bulletproof. Whether it's on a 90, whether it's on the, it doesn't even matter. These are going to be a permanent part of our Air Force from now on. Now this little thing worked out well as a way to get some ground clearance. I jacked the gear up off the, of course this notch is here. And I was thinking, and I was just toying with the idea, I guess, that I wanted to finalize, I hope, this header design. Now this is 49 grams with the weld joint and with the back. I used the lathe to make a back cap, soldered this. In the past, when I've soldered this material, 90% of the time it holds, but the one time it doesn't. And the good news is, if nothing bad is going to happen if that joint breaks, or if the back comes out, it'll just get loud. But this is the kind of solder, and this is what Brian used on the lawn chair muffler. So I want to get a day of testing on this muffler. And actually, even this one was lighter than the one that I had replaced it with, the last one we tested at the field. So what happens now is we have about 5 usable exhaust systems. Sergi's is a little too restrictive. Zambelli's going to open that up. This one has a 425 hole. I didn't have a piece of 450, and I was really hoping I'd find some 450, but I can drill this right out and just replace it now that I can solder here. I didn't have time to drill and tap for a pressure fitting, but it looks like we pretty much are not going to be running muffler pressure. No real reason to do it, even with the fact that this test plane has oil-soaked, ground-away mounts. It just seems like it's, when you launch the plane even, it's relatively solid, relatively stable. Now, a couple of the things I wanted to try, and I was going to save this for last, because there's really, the next step I need to get Rich Oliver's okay to do it, is I want to mount the header. You know, jets have that spacer. I want to put the header right on the back of the engine. That little piece that's in it, even that is just unnecessary weight. This made a dramatic difference. It allowed us to use a spinner. If we couldn't have gotten rid of that weight, and now that we have a spare one, a lot of times, and one of the things Rich and I have been talking about is if he can get me a spare case, and I can kind of grind away on it and get rid of some of the weight. And it's really just for this plane, but there's an even better solution. They have a cast case, and we don't know yet. He's going to talk to Dub if these parts fit. We can just replace the case with a cast case, and I think that's a little over an ounce lighter. And boy, would that make a dramatic difference to the plane. That'd bring the plane in under 70 ounces. Given all that stuff, we would have an under 70 ounce. And we know Pattern Masters fly good right up into the 80s. As long as you have enough power, they fly great. It's a nice thick wing. It's probably one of, maybe the best design I've flown. But it needs to have horsepower, and it needs to have a motor run. Those are the two things I've found. When you make a pipe setup and it doesn't have a motor run, it's always a bad trade-off. So this looks like it's evolving in the past week, and we've evolved to the point where I don't know that I'm getting enough sleep at night. But I am really, every step of the way here, trying to document it for anybody that's going to try to do this. And we have several people already lined up as candidates that they have a plane that's a little bit too heavy, especially if it's a little tail heavy, especially if it must have half-inch mounts, and it must have some meat and potatoes up here. And if this plane were just a little bit newer and didn't have so much oil seepage, it would almost pay to take all the paint off the nose, fiberglass the nose. These are things I've thought of. And maybe just repaint the nose up to the leading edge of the wing just to make this solider. But the good news is that it's been such a smooth running engine. It's hard to describe this. It's a very, very smooth running engine. And it seems to have the run character that I like in a stunt motor anyway. And it seems to pull this plane around very, very comfortably. Now what it means too is, one of the thoughts I've had is, and of course I'm always thinking of Walt Russell's Helldiver. I'm also thinking Midgley has tradition, and it's not refinished yet. But it could be before he does a lot more refinishing. When these motors go into production and become available, we'll make a project out of redoing tradition, put back the original candy apple finish, and boy, I'll bet dollars to donuts that when that's put back together, that's going to be some nice combination. And I always keep, some people might be wondering, why isn't he flying a Testarossa? Well, you know, the Testarossa, we pretty much, at the end of this season, we don't have any high, high value contests. Flushing is really a fun fly more than that. And in fact, we want to go out and fly each other's planes and stuff maybe the day before, and have some good times like we do at Pal Park. But what happened at the end of the season is I got this to the point with Rich Oliver's prop, among other things, and I didn't want to put a lot of wear and tear on it just in case I don't have time to finish next year's Enzo. But now that I've reevaluated it, and I'm looking at a couple of possibilities, and the biggest of which that keeps going through my mind over and over and over and over again is to somehow come up with a motor mount system, make a crutch for a 90, make an interchangeable motor. Now that I have a lathe, I can make spacers galore. Make a totally interchangeable motor that the 77, 76, and the new, not even out yet, we don't even have one, 67, and the 90 would all bolt in. Now the compromise would be, we have a 10-inch nose, Typhoon had an 8-inch nose, and I've been thinking a 9-inch nose would kind of be a compromise going in each direction. Also, with the bigger, heavier motor, rather than using the short tail, extend the tail an inch or two. The Spitfire tail is a 2-inch extension. Maybe what really is going to happen is we'll have a body very similar to this, but the wing itself will just move up and down 1/8 of an inch. So these are all things Les and I have been hashing out pretty much every day as we try to, put the final touch on our planning. And again, we have about a month left, maybe a little less than a month. We're going to try to squeeze as much development time out of this project as we can. We know John Cafaro, among other people, are just itching to come up with some new ideas for a new plane, but no matter what the cosmetics are, whether it's a Typhoon, a Testarossa, or an SV11, or an Impact, I think the possibility of using, and of course we will use Dave Midgley's carbon fiber wing, just moving that wing forward 1 inch, it lengthens the tail, shortens the nose, and then coming up with that interchangeable motor mount system, which Les is already thinking of a way to do it. I have a way I'm thinking of doing it, and we're going to be putting a lot of time and energy into that possibility, along with the possibility maybe of using, instead of the traditional mounting system, some kind of clamping system. But again, there's a lot of thought has to go into that before that's going to come to fruition. Now, as I've done a lot of testing, I've eliminated a lot of things out of my repertoire here. And number one was, with the 90, at the state of tune it is now, it definitely needs some decompression. It definitely ran better with the smallest venturi that Rich provided us with. In fact, I just added some more pantyhose. And for sure, we know it ran real well. And see, these numbers, these are not all exactly the same, but you need to have a definite restrictor at the end. It's called a belly bleeder, if you want to be technical about it. And I know the 451 worked, and I know the one, I know 375 is going to choke it, because it gets on the verge of choking it on a 77. So this test, the next day we get to fly, this will be, I hope, an interesting test, and it'll also let us know if we need to put the mount back under there. It also kind of sits in the plane nicer. It'll clean up. And here's the other possibility when you design a fuselage cosmetically, not having to allow not having to make the whole back of the fuselage 2 inches wider for the pipe or higher, in a lot of ways, just makes a lot of different designs possible. A lot more semi-scale, a lot more possibilities. So, having said all this, the only thing left is to hope that tomorrow, among other days, is going to be a great day. And I hope you've enjoyed sharing a lot of this stuff with us. And we've not eliminated one other possibility. And of course, Miss Ashley is sitting up in the rack. And what I think, before I could even really consider doing Miss Ashley, because I know I can run this engine with a 5-ounce tank now. Miss Ashley is a little bit thinner body, so that's an issue too, that I may or may not have enough meat left on the motor mounts. And once I cut it up, of course, it's too late to put it back. But I don't know if I'd be able to even use the cowls, if I'd have to chop everything all up, and I really hate to butcher that plane up. But I really would like to do is look at the possibility of using it for a test plane. Is the plane that jumps out in my mind as would be a killer plane would be Tradition, and that would need maybe a month or so of refinishing, but over the winter we're going to have a lot of time to do projects like that. And I'm going to end this tape with a sad note, and it really just makes me crazy every minute of the day. And that is, when we lost the Typhoon, we lost it of course because we had a bad line, and probably I or one of the people flying at the old field in Ridgefield Park stepped on a wire. It failed in service. And if we had this plane, and again the characteristics are short nose, 8-inch nose, relatively long tail, and Rich Oliver has even come up with the idea maybe of making not even using any of the old molds, just making a much more scale Typhoon body. And that's certainly one of the choices. Walt Brownell made one. We have plenty of plans, we have plenty of documentation. I've got all the documentation for that, if that becomes one of the projects. And I tell you the truth, I've always liked the Typhoon. But again, the problem is I'm going to run out of life. There's just too many projects I want to do. Karen knows it, I know it, and I haven't eliminated the dream project. Would be to build another sweeper and put that 90 in there. Oh my God. But the problem is I'm 61 years old, and there's more planes that I want to build than there are years left. And there I was on my pet horse, which I think is my mother and father, I don't know. But if I only could have envisioned it, gee, I got to be 61 in such a hurry. It just all of a sudden, I was this young guy and I was dropping out of school and whatever and looking at Piper Cubs at the airport. All of a sudden, I'm 61 years old and the phone is ringing. And before I sign off here, one of the things I let go for over, oh God, 8 months, 9 months, I had gotten a lathe. I was always had other projects to do, never got it set up. Well, now I have it set up, and boy, I could kick myself. You know, it's one of those things. I really wish I had done it sooner. I really wish I had done the cleanup on the shop. Now, the next step on here, John is getting me some new flooring for in here. But there's just some things that I've found over the years that, and my own personal habit, I put it off, and then when I do it, I say, why didn't I do this sooner? And it's just made working in here, and I've been working intensely on this whole thing. I've been just wondering why I didn't do it sooner. But it has been fun. Speaking of fun, oh my God. Anyway, we hope to see you on the next tape. We're going to do some more stuff. Rich Oliver's got a couple boxes coming in the mail. And I don't know where this is all heading, but boy, it's sure given me a lot of thought for next year's projects. And that Typhoon. I bet I've spent 10 hours dreaming about having that Typhoon back. I keep thinking I'm going to come down to shop and it's going to be here, but you know what? I'm dreaming. Alright, see you on the next tape. Thanks for joining us. Please share all the tapes, of course. We actually got some more stuff coming. The subscribers should already have the the World Championship tapes, but we got some more footage from Philip Wong. I'm going to go through it, see if there's anything that we didn't get on the first tape presentation. There was some cool stuff on there, and of course, thanks to everybody that contributed the footage and the stills. See you. Hey, I hope I see you in my dreams with this typhoon.
Wendy Ertnowski, second official. John DeTavio assisting. Typhoon, 91 four-stroke. Thank you, Larry.